Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for attending today. I am Brian Bernstein, the marketing manager at Saval Foodservice. We are on day 4 of our Saval Megabyte 2020 virtual food show. I'm pleased to have our guest speaker today, Michael Tash, Vice President and co-owner of Frederick, Maryland-based Essential System Solutions. He has been in the hospitality industry space since 1988. His company has been providing POS systems, online ordering, digital signage, and merchant services to restaurants in the DC, Maryland, and Virginia areas for decades. Michael is also on the board of directors for the Retail Solutions Provider Association. It's an industry association in the forefront of retail and hospitality technology. I am pleased to introduce Michael Tash. Hello, how are you doing today?
Hey, Brian, thanks so much for having me. And might as well get started. We are here to talk about technology. Hopefully everybody can hear me okay. I know that there is the question button down at the bottom, so feel free, if you have any questions as we go along, just type it in and I can, depending on what it is, I'll either answer it right then and there or we'll have time at the end. So I'm gonna go ahead and start. Like Brian said, I've been doing this for a long time. I started installing point of sale systems in McDonald's in 1989 and realized pretty quickly I was much better at talking than I was at installing point of sale systems. So I kind of went in a different direction, grew the company on the sales side. Basically what our company does, any kind of technology used in restaurants and hospitality, the company as a whole, we've installed over 15,000 locations nationwide. A lot of places like McDonald's, Dunkin' Donuts, Taco Bell, places that are bad for you to eat, there's a good chance we installed the POS system there. We also sell them to local restaurants as well as local chains. In addition, we have a repair depot and we do on-site service locally and nationwide. Just a quick slide about what our company does and where we touch, and pretty much anything having to do with the technology and taking money in a restaurant, retail, or hospitality situation. And we kind of see ourselves in the role of a consultant because the way we work, we meet with our clients, talk to them, find out how they run their business, what they do and what they want to do, and then recommend whatever technology is best to help them do what they want to do and get where they want to go. Here's what we're going to talk about today. POS systems, online ordering, delivery, that's pretty big right now, contactless payments, digital menus, digital signage, and credit card solutions. So might as well jump right in. On the point of sale side, there are basically 3 types of systems that are out there: server-based, cloud-based, and edge-based. And edge is kind of a new technology you may or may not have heard about. Server-based systems are your traditional, or some people call them legacy systems. They have a server, a computer on site in the restaurant. All the data is housed in your restaurant. They're secure. They're not dependent on internet. The downside or upside, depending upon how you look at it, to use the system for reporting, you either have to be on site or you have to have some sort of remote access software. You can't just log into a web browser for the most part for reporting. Same with programming. You have to either be on site to do the programming or you have to have some type of remote access program to be able to log in and connect. They're great systems. They're standalone. Some people don't want to be connected to the internet for various reasons. One of the only downside, they're not ideal for multiple location restaurants. Some of the players in that space you may or may not have heard of: Pixel Point, Digital Dining, Micros, Aloha, Future POS, and Focus. Some of also the benefits with server-based systems, they're not always as tightly tied to credit card processing as some of the cloud-based systems are. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. When you move over to the cloud-based systems, really what that means is there is no actual server on site in the restaurant. The server is in the cloud. And if you think you're not really familiar with that, if you ever used Facebook or any kind of online banking or even Instagram, those are cloud-based systems where you're interacting and the server is up somewhere in the sky and you just have access to it wherever you are. The nice things about cloud-based systems, you have access to your data from anywhere. If you have a phone, a computer, a tablet, and internet, you can connect to your system. You can do reporting, you can do programming, you can basically do anything you could do in the restaurant, even take orders if you wanted to from wherever you happen to be, as long as you have internet access. Cloud-based systems are primarily subscription-based. So they work kind of like this cell phone, where you would buy the equipment up front initially or pay monthly for your equipment. And then there's a monthly cost to the software, depending upon what modules you have. The beauty of that is you are always getting updates. You always have the newest, latest, greatest version of the software, because as they do the updates, it's automatically downloaded to your system. The cloud-based systems are very secure. However, they are internet dependent. So if the internet goes down, you're not down. The systems still work in an offline mode, but you're limited to some of the things, like you can't do any programming changes. You can't get the reporting from offsite, and a couple other things like that that do require the internet connectivity. They work great for multiple locations, but there is, in some situations, processor dependency. So some of the players that are in the cloud-based space right now: Heartland Restaurant, Brink, Toast, Oracle has a cloud-based system, Clover, and Square. And I have an asterisk next to a couple of them. Those are processor dependent, meaning if you go with that particular POS system, you have to go with their processing. There are pros and cons to that, but it's just something you want to be aware of. And when you're looking at any of these systems, looking at the contract is pretty important. If you're not familiar with any of them, just to give you an example, like Square and Clover are some of the more limited feature-wise POS system. And then of that list, when you look at Brink, Brink is a cloud-based system, and Brink is in large scale chains. So companies like Five Guys, Dairy Queen, Arby's, they're running Brink. And then locally, we have some of our customers that have one location that's running Brink, and there's a couple that are up to 20 locations that are running Brink. And it's a great enterprise system. One other thing to talk about with the cloud-based systems is, like I said, they are subscriptions. So there is a time frame or a length of term involved in the contract. Toast, Heartland, and Clover, I believe, generally are 3-year, 36-month contracts. Brink is a 30-day contract, or basically there is no contract if they believe that the software is so good that you'll never want to get rid of it. But if you do, you give them 30 days notice, and that's it. The third type is edge-based, and this is kind of new technology. This uses a combination of a server on location. It uses a small server, like some of the bookshelf servers, if you may have seen. That's on site. The data is also replicated in the cloud. So what that does is that allows you have access to your data on site as well as anywhere. It's much faster when you're using it because it's not going from your store to the cloud and back for transactions, although you can view reports, program, or anything else you want via the cloud interface. It's a local database, so you have security and you have a backup right there on site. The EdgeBased is a subscription model. It's much faster than the cloud, like I said, and it's not as reliant on the internet as the true cloud-based systems, and it is generally processor independent. As far as restaurants using cloud-based systems, Chick-fil-A is the biggest user of this. And interesting enough, I just heard a commercial from Northrop Grumman, or one of those military contractors, talking about their new EdgeBased system for the military. So you don't have to depend on the cloud. And the other advantage with the cloud is the speed. I'm sorry, with the EdgeBased in the cloud is the speed, because I don't know how many of you have gotten home, or everybody is working from home, and you have Comcast in Xfinity, and you notice, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, the speed just starts trickling down because everyone in the neighborhood is on there. Well, this basically eliminates that situation because your server is right there. One of the leading brands in POS for edge-based type system is a company called EdgeServe. And that is primarily the only one right now using this type of technology. So, like I said, no questions. There's a couple people that joined in. Like I said earlier, if you have any questions as we're going along, just click down at the bottom and type it in, and we'll go from there. Some other considerations as far as the POS system goes: loyalty programs, gift card programs. Right now, with the environment the way it is, if you don't have loyalty and gift cards, it's something you should truly look at. There's lots of different ways to do it, built into the POS system or external, because I use the expression a lot, don't ever underestimate the value of a free t-shirt. And with loyalty programs, people will go to specific places because they want to get their points. It is a differentiating factor at times. And with gift card programs, the beauty of gift card programs, if you're not doing that now, especially again in this environment, you get the cash now, and the guests will be using those gift cards later, and there's a good chance that they're coming in, they're ordering something while they're picking up the gift cards. Marketing programs in this situation, what I'm talking about, there are a lot of programs that integrate into POS and into credit card processing. So you can share all that information, and you can be able to find out what customers are coming to your restaurant, when, and what they're buying. And the example of that is, if you have customer A, B, and C, customer A comes once a week, B once a month, C once every 6 months, you can use that data and you can send specific marketing programs or marketing offers to those different customers. The person who's coming once a week, you might only want to give a 25% discount versus someone who comes once every 6 months, where you might want to do buy one, get one free, or even a free offer. Kitchen video systems, that will allow you to be more efficient in the kitchen and be more accurate in putting the orders together, as well as the number of people that you have working in the kitchen. Inventory and back office systems, they kind of go hand in hand. There are a lot of options for you to be able to do food costing down to the recipe level in the POS system. And that's something that we can talk about down the road if you're interested in getting it to that level. Back office also, same thing. It kind of takes you in with the payroll, inventory, and credit card processing piece to get all that information and keep track of it and export it into the accounting. We just got a couple questions. The easiest to use system for those who are technology challenged, it just depends on what you're currently using and what you want to, where you want to go. There are some POS systems that are basically, a fancier cash register, and they are pretty easy to use. And then when you work with companies like us, we kind of take the heavy lifting away, and we do the programming, and we get it set up before it even goes in. And then second question is, loyalty or gift card programs work on all types of POS? Yes and no. It depends. You can get standalone loyalty and standalone gift card programs that work when it's not integrated into the POS. It just adds an extra step or two when they close the system and then when they balance it out with the paperwork at the end of the night. Time to talk a little bit about online ordering. So there are basically two types, native and third party. Native online ordering is when it is actually built into the system. And probably I would say 50% of the POS systems have it, where it is already built in. When you program an item in your POS system, it's programmed, it's a little checkbox. You check that box and it will be up on your online ordering. What's beautiful about it, the orders go right from the web to the kitchen. So when you're making the food, you're not seeing any difference other than either a table number, a guest name, or a web order guest name as to where the food goes once it's prepared. But it goes back to the kitchen. It's all rung up in the POS system, and there is no secondary accounting needed to be done at the end of the night. It's all in the same sales. The payments from the POS and the online orders use the same processor. So you don't have different statements at the end of the month. Makes it a lot easier to account. And generally when it's built in, it's more cost effective and more efficient. There are a lot of third-party online ordering companies out there. And when I talk about third-party online ordering, I'm not really talking about delivery per se. I'm talking about someone going to the website, ordering, coming to the restaurant and picking it up, or picking it up via curbside. Now, along those lines, I'm hopeful that everybody on here and every Saval customer has their own website and has their own link for online ordering, and they're not necessarily using Facebook for their web page. But if they are, this works the same way. The third-party companies, such as the ones I listed, Zuppler, Postmates, Olo, Bento, Foodie, they are third parties. So you might have seen, or your restaurant may look like that picture on the right where you have all those different tablets. They are an addition to your POS, so there is a monthly fee. There is, in some cases, an additional payment processor needed, and there are options to integrate that POS or the online ordering into the POS. One of the issues that you have when you're using the third-party, non-integrated, and when you're using Uber Eats, Grubhub, DoorDash, or any of those others for online ordering, it gets expensive because in addition to the monthly fees, in some cases you're paying additional processing, and then you're also paying an additional percentage to Uber, Grubhub, or DoorDash. So there are some benefits with that. Benefits being you may be found via Uber or Grubhub where that particular customer may not have found you before, but there are ways to generate, to convert that customer from an Uber customer to a restaurant customer by perhaps giving them a discount for the next order if they order it from your website, or if they if they order it direct from your website using your web portal. One of the other things that we talk about, you can get software, third-party software that will integrate those third parties into your POS system. So what that basically does is consolidates all the tablets as shown in that picture, and all those orders will go right into the POS. One of the most, the least efficient things is having a server look at that tablet and then have to enter that into the POS system, and hopefully everything gets entered correctly. On the delivery side, it kind of works the same way. A lot of the POS systems have integrated delivery, and that's where it's your employee doing the delivery. There are some advantages to that. You can track your orders and your drivers because of your people. You control your costs. You control your product. The downside is you have to have drivers. So the main reason I'm bringing that up is just because there is some native delivery built into POS. And then the delivery third parties, we're all familiar with them. And again, just like that picture, same scenario where those orders come in on a tablet, on a printer, via an email, and there is a good chance you can miss something. So that being said, there are a couple of options. The software I was talking about earlier, third party, it's called, it's a Checkmate or Chally. What those do is those again are monthly subscriptions, and those integrate Uber Eats, Grubhub, DoorDash, and any of the others, and that will send the order right into your POS system. They work with most POS systems that are out there. They generally runs about $100 a month. There is usually not a contract for, it's a Checkmate and Chally, and they do all the setup for you. So again, once it's done, you would make price changes, menu changes in your POS system, and then that would be reflected on the Uber Eats, Grubhub, and DoorDash menus. So say again, there's a couple people that just joined us. We're talking about POS and technology, and if there's any questions as we're going along, feel free, just type it down in the bottom, and I'll either answer them as we go along, or we'll wait and go through it at the end. So contactless payments. This is something really big. A lot of people are talking about this. A lot of people are really advertising this and really trying to sell it. We have mobile and contactless payment options, and there are quite a few that are out there. One thing to keep in mind with the contactless or mobile payments, and specifically the pay at the table devices, kind of like that device shown in the picture. What a lot of our restaurant clients originally thought about and wanted to do, they'd have those handheld devices. You would take that over to the guest at the end of the meal, hand that to the guest. They would put the credit card in themselves. They would finish the transaction, and it would be closed out. Well, when you do that, that device is touching as many hands or perhaps more than if you were to actually give your credit card to the server and have the server walk it back, run it, and bring it back to you. So it's kind of a conversation when you're looking at switching over or adding a hands-free device into your system, and it's an operations question of how you want to do it, and it's a perception thing. You know, if the guests see you sanitizing and cleaning the devices, that adds a layer of comfort to it. There are quite a few pay by phone options, and again, if you look at that picture, that's kind of one that's using an Apple Pay or what's called NFC. It's basically a near field communication. So if it's within an inch or two, couple inches of the device, you can pay via the Apple Pay, via Google Pay. There's also some apps that are out there that allow you to pay by text. And what that does is it will send a text to the customer, and it will allow them to enter their information. They click on a button, it takes them basically to a secure website. They put their credit card information in, and it will pay the check. That is integrated into some POS systems. Again, it's another option. And then paying by QR code is pretty cool. More and more POS systems are allowing you to do that. Heartland does that. EdgeServe does that. I believe Toast does that, where on the guest check, it'll have a QR code, and the customer can scan that with their scan that with their phone, and it will pay right off the phone. There are a couple softwares that are out there, apps that are out there that are integrated into the loyalty program, and then there are others that aren't. So Heartland, as an example, they have both. So you can scan and pay by QR code, whether you're a member of their loyalty program or not. You can also add yourself to that loyalty program at the same time. The benefit with doing that is there is not, there's really no additional hardware that needs to be purchased. The customers already have a cell phone, and in most cases, you're getting them into your loyalty program all at the same time. And, you know, that truly is contactless. They're only touching their own phone. Digital menu. This is something that I'm not sure how many people know about, but it's totally available now. I can't see all of you guys, but those two codes are live. So if you take your phone and open up the camera and click on that top one, it's going to take you to a link. And that one, that QR code takes you to a restaurant. If you do the second one, it's going to take you to a menu. And if you guys don't have this already, all you need to do is put your menu, you know, convert it to either a JPEG or a PDF file, which is relatively easy to do. And if you don't know how to do it, if you email me, I can show you in a second how to do it. And then there's plenty of websites that will create a QR code. So you just upload that JPEG or that PDF to your website, create a QR code with that address in it, and you can put that anywhere and everywhere in your restaurant. You can also do that as a link to join the loyalty program. I'll leave that up just for a second, so if you guys want to try it. Okay, time's up. Digital signage. This generally has been thought of only for the quick serve world, but not necessarily. I mean, if you look at that picture, that's a pretty sophisticated looking bar, and they have quite a bit of digital signage. It's not just a menu board anymore. You can use it for a menu board, and the signage now is very, very much template driven. So even people who are not that technically savvy can do this, can put it up, can get them up and loaded and get them up quick. The pricing of the equipment and the software has really come down. It's literally like under $25 a month for the software for some really high-end looking digital signage. And you can use it for showing specials. You can use it for day parting scheduling of different events. You can use it to have a picture that says, please wear a mask. And you can pretty much, anything that you can think of besides just a menu board, you can use it. And it's really easy to update, and it just looks sleek, it looks great, and you don't have any, you know, paper up anywhere. The kind of the last subject I want to hit on the technology side is just to kind of update people on credit card programs and what is going on out there right now. Everyone is aware, you know, sales volumes are down, and we're all trying to save money wherever we can. One of the things that has come out in the credit card world and much more available is basically a way to shift the cost of doing credit cards to the customer or share in that. So there are ways now where you can basically eliminate 99% of the credit card fees that you pay by shifting it over to the customer. And basically it's non-cash payment options. So I'm going to talk about a couple of them. True cash discount is the first one. And basically, the way that that works is the pricing that is shown on the menu, or if you have any retail space, is the credit card price. And if a customer pays by credit card, they pay that price. If they pay by cash, they get a discount. And that discount could be whatever you want it to be. And it would just be clearly shown at the point of purchase that if you pay by cash, you get a 3% discount. And then the discount would be shown on the receipt that they paid by cash. That's kind of the easiest one to explain. Non-cash adjustment is the second type. This one is, if you think about a gas station where they have a sign for credit card price and a sign for cash price. That's the way non-cash adjustment works. The rules are you have to have signage at the entrance to your restaurant and at the POS station. And the key with this one, you have to display the cash price and the credit card price. This program is prohibited on debit cards, so it's not going to work. And then with the credit card pricing, it needs to be no more than 4% higher. So the way that this works is if you go into a restaurant, and generally we use 3% to 3.5%. So the way that this works is I come into a restaurant, my bill is $100. And it's a 3% adjustment. So if I pay by cash, I pay $100. If I pay by credit card, I pay $103. That is shown on the receipt as an adjustment. It's also built into the POS system and the processing. So it shows that on the receipt, it shows that on the POS. So the customer is aware of that. And then at the end of the month, when you get your credit card statement, the only fees that you will be paying for are the PCI compliance fee. There's a couple others that are required by law and required by the processors, but you're not paying a credit card fee per transaction. That is being charged daily at that 3 to 4%. That's what the credit card company collects. So you're getting, if you're selling an item or if the check is $100, you get $100. Whereas now, if your credit card rate is as high as 3%, you're selling something for $100, but at the end of the day, you're really collecting $97. So it's a way the non-cash adjustment shifts the burden over to the customer. The third way is a surcharge, and it works similar to the non-cash adjustment. However, it is just a different term. And the difference is there is signage saying that there is a surcharge added. It works the same way as the percentage goes. So again, my example, if my bill is $100 and I'm paying by credit card, I will pay $103 and the merchant will collect $100. The receipt would show that. And with any of these programs, if you're going to do it, you have to notify the credit card company in advance of this. So I know that's kind of a lot to take in on the credit card piece, but it puts it out there in a way that you can kind of, like I said, share that burden with your customer. The other example with this is you can use different numbers. So if you don't want to charge 3%, you could lower it. You could do 1%, 2%, and then you're splitting the difference with that customer. So you would still be paying some credit card fees, but you would be paying less credit card fees than you would be if you didn't participate in this program. And then lastly, like I said, where it says restaurant must notify the card brands, that's something that we do or something that the credit card provider does. It's all part of the program. When you sign up to do this, if it's one of our customers, we walk them through how the program works. We set them up, and then there's a couple links that they get sent out from Visa, Master, American Express, and Discover. They click on the link, they fill out some information, and then that updates their record with the card brands, so that they're aware of what this restaurant is doing. And that kind of brings me to the end of the presentation. I have a couple questions. Just listen, why we are essential. We are a single source solution. So we kind of do everything. We act as a consultant, we act as a reseller, and then we're there 24/7 to support. So I do have a couple questions. I'm going to go through, and if you have any more questions, feel free to type them in now. That'd be great. So it's a lot of restaurants that work with Heartland, do they offer the services with their terminals? Yes, there are. Everything that I've talked about does work with Heartland. However, there are certain limitations to the level of the program, meaning if it's the credit card program, if the online ordering, if it's the delivery, it just depends on specifically which processor they're working with and which modules they have on Heartland Restaurant. It's something that I can definitely, I can definitely answer if you want to shoot me an email on. And then the next question was, how much does a basic POS cost for a small to-go pizza? It really varies on what you want to do with it. It's one of those things where it's much better to talk about, and look at, because there's options for, online ordering. Do you do delivery? Do you do Uber? Do you do these other things now? Do you want that stuff integrated in? And also, the POS systems work in two different ways. One, as far as the cost. One of them is you basically buy it outright, and then you have a 0 to a low monthly fee for the software and the support. And then there's other packages where it's all rolled in together for it's called POS as a service. So it's basically one monthly fee that includes the hardware, the software, the support, everything. I had another question. Are these systems able to be cellular for pop-ups, food trucks, and ghost locations? Absolutely, yeah. Most of them are. If they are internet, if they're cloud-based systems and they have, they're internet dependent, it doesn't matter what the internet is, whether it's cellular, whether it is, wired in or not. So yeah, absolutely. We can, we have solutions for that. Someone asked, why is Toast so popular, and do we offer the similar products? One of the reasons with Toast compared to a lot of locally owned dealer systems is some of the pricing. So I'm the owner of the POS company. I'm a reseller. I have to buy whatever it is that I'm going to resell, just like you do when you're buying food to resell. Toast does two things. Number one, they're owned by a venture capitalist company. So they have a lot more money than I do to put out there. Number two, Toast is Toast is a credit card processing company that has POS. So you have to use their you have to use their credit card processing, and they are making up, I guess that's where they're making their money, is on the credit card processing. So that is the main reason. We compete against them quite often. Sometimes they win. Most of the time we win, because one of the advantages that we have over them, we're locally owned, and I have a team of people that you're dealing with. So when you buy a system from a company like us, or any of the other local dealers, local dealers that are in the area, you're dealing with someone. When you need support, you're calling my office in Frederick. You're not calling an 800 number, and you're talking to someone who was probably in your restaurant, not someone at a help desk flipping through pages asking, is it plugged in? Is it turned on? That sort of thing. So hopefully that answers your question. I think, so that's all the questions I have up there so far. Did I miss anyone, or anybody else have anything?
I think we're good. I think there was one question in here. I'm not sure if it was answered while you were speaking, but it said you must notify within 30 days. What does that mean? And it was earlier in your conversation.
Oh, yeah, I did answer that. What that means is when you go on these surcharge programs, you need to notify, there's a process to notify the card brands, meaning Visa, Master, Discover, and American Express, that you are participating in these surcharge programs. And the processor, whether it's us or whoever you're working with, will provide you with the information to notify them. It's not something that the processor that you're working with would do. It's something that, the owner of the restaurant would do. And it's a pretty simple process. You click on a link, you put in some information, you answer a couple questions, and you hit submit. And the reason that it says 30 days is it's not a requirement to notify 30 days ahead of time. That's what we say, because if there's any questions or any issues as far as a restaurant guest, seeing it on their check when they pay, and then a month later when they get their statement, calling the restaurant or disputing the charge, it needs to be on file that this restaurant is participating in this program. Does that make sense?
It does.
Great. Well, thanks everybody. There is my contact information. If you have any more questions or you want to talk about anything else in detail, I will be glad to help you out.